Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to another TcgScrubs podcast. Here with one less Joey as always.
Yep.
And one more Oscar.
Hey.
So got a couple things that we're going to be talking about. Mainly there was a Wander GP over where at, Oscar?
In Germany. I'm not sure specifically where, but it was a German Masters Wander event.
Yeah, so that's the main thing we'll be talking about. As always, big thanks to our patrons who make pretty much all of this possible. You can see in the background here the beginnings of some stuff I'm putting together. I've been teasing. I have lights and different cool things and tables and all that. I'll be doing a tour video for our patrons. Hopefully within the next couple days I'll finish building all this, and it's all going to lead up to some cool stuff for the channel that once again I'll be talking to our patrons about. So shh, it's super secret, but some cool stuff. Cool stuff's coming in next week or two, so look forward to that. And also, if you guys are looking for Force Will singles, sealed product, Caster Chronicles singles, Force Will Buylist, pre-order of Winds of the Ominous Moon, that's up for $80, I believe. Be sure to visit Happy Little Hug Factory in the description below, and be sure you click that link in the description so they know we sent you. Really awesome guys. They have a lot of great, like I said, singles and product for great pricing, and yeah, good stuff there. So we'll go ahead and move into here our topics at hand, unless there's anything you want to get off your chest, Oscar.
Not that I can think of right now.
No one you're super mad at besides Joey?
Just Joey.
Just Joey?
Just Joey.
So we'll move into the GP discussion, because I think this is going to take most of our podcast today, because there's some interesting things I want to talk about specifically, some cool things, some gripes, a lot of gripes.
To clarify, you keep calling it a GP, and it was not a GP at all.
You guys know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. For those of you who don't know.
If you know what I mean.
I think they like me better. Guys, don't comment. Don't even worry about it. Keep going, Colin.
So let's go ahead and start with the ruler breakdown. So how many people attended this event?
I didn't add these numbers up. I thought you did. I just have the breakdown.
Just add up the pie, man. Just add up the pie.
I don't even have the pie pulled up. I only have the list of like ruler breakdown.
Oh my gosh, just add that.
As you add the number up, I'll read it. We had 34 of the Shaherazads from Time Spinning Witch, 10 Fairs, 9 Kyrix, 8 Lumia, 5 Scarlet, 4 Vlad, which I thought was really cool, 3 Ayus, 2 Crimson Girl in the Sky, and I want to see those decks, 2 Tigress, 13 other one-ofs, and 3 Kaguya's that said it wasn't specified which Kaguya it was. It's assumed it was the CMF Kaguya, which is the one-cost standby Kaguya. Maybe it was her. Maybe 3 people ran Crocodile Shark decks like some people said they would.
That'd be awesome. Mm-hmm. So roughly 90 people. Yeah. What was the top 3 rulers? Again?
Top 3?
Yeah.
34 Shaherazads, 10 Fairs, and 9 Kyrix.
Kyrix's interesting. Cause I know because basically it does what Sylvia does, but better, with the exception of Sylvia being able to produce green for free. But it's still interesting that, because I still feel like Sylvia has some use that Kyrix maybe doesn't necessarily provide. And there's also there's another ruler I'm forgetting, Oscar. What's the other ruler I'm forgetting that does something similar to Kyrix, as far as like damage, consistent damage and all that?
I don't know. What do you mean?
There's another one in Wander that I'm forgetting, but that's similar to like Sylvia and stuff like that. But so that's interesting. So the top 3 right there were non-Wander based rulers, and number 1 being Sherry, which people were surprised about because they thought in Wander Sherry wouldn't hold water. 34 people felt otherwise. What are your thoughts on that? Just the sheer number of people that brought those.
Well, so now I wonder is like when we've mentioned this before, that it was an opinion posted online. Is like, are people? Is this really like the number 1 deck? Is this what everybody's going to, or are people just not trying hard enough to figure out what to counter it? They're like, my event's in 2 weeks, or like in this case, the event for Providence is 1 week. You know what? Run Scheherazade. It's a fallback. It's fine. Let's go ahead and do this, as opposed to like what truly counters this, or does nothing truly counter the deck. That's kind of the way I see it. Is like, are people trying to really build around this, or is this the deck to run.
It's interesting because in Wander, I feel like it wouldn't be the go-to ruler. So, like, if it's the go-to ruler in Wander, what I'm trying to say is, it's because it might actually be a higher power level. Because I feel like there's other stuff that's easier to put together that people might think off the top of their head might be better than Sherry, just because in Wander there's a lot of weird, crazy, broken combos, and the fact that those weren't run might be a testament to the fact that if it just Sherry. Once again, I'll reiterate: Sherry isn't strong. Her story deck is strong, and because of that, even in Wander, I keep saying having 10 cards as your starting hand is still just is too strong of a thing inside of any card game to counter. And also, and the other thing I'm curious about for that, and maybe the other cards, is if maybe we're seeing New Frontier cards, not necessarily because they're strong, but because people aren't familiar with Wander. So you have people who don't play Wander coming to the event with their New Frontiers decks. Like I would do kind of with Pokemon. I didn't want to build expanded decks, so I just used my deck for both events. Expanded and normal events, no matter what. And it did good in expanded events, but just not as good as maybe other decks that were built for it.
I mean, looking at the list, because we have a top 8 list available, and they're on our website if you guys want to take a look. It's what was provided from the German website. We're waiting for the Gotcha images, so I can do that plus the text versions later. But from the looks of it, it seems fairly familiar with Wanderer. There's some Wanderer cards thrown in here and there. There's only a couple of decks that were Sherry decks that were essentially the same deck from the beginning. Like 4 Gretels were thrown in. That was the only difference. That was for Wanderer.
And it looks like 5 of the top 8 was Sherry decks.
Right, 5 top 8 were Sherry's, and then 2 Keurig and 1 Imel.
That's where my original thought might break down a bit, because I would say that people who aren't familiar, so they bring basically New Frontiers decks and just splash in Wanderer cards maybe or something like that. But then those card decks, if that were the case, would do pretty good, and then they would just hard lose as soon as they come against a really good structured Wanderer deck.
I just gotta say, I really like the Scheherazade deck that decided to throw in Angel and Lucifer in there. That's pretty awesome.
We'll get to that in a sec, Oscar.
That one's my favorite. Sorry, my bad.
Calm down. So I think that's the unfortunate thing, is it looks like that argument might not really work, because just the majority of the rulers were New Frontiers. All of top 8 rulers were New Frontiers. 80 or 90% of the cards in top 8 were New Frontiers, and 90% of the stones were New Frontiers as well. I think we averaged around 1 stone that was Wander, because they were true stones or something like that. So whether or not that sees a problem, specifically with Sherry, like I said, Keurig, I don't know. I think Keurig's strong, but that's a weird one. I think there's other red decks that might be at minimum as strong as it, just not as explored. We'll get to other stuff. I guess we'll real quick go into the card breakdown. We'll do the full event card breakdown, not the top 8 card breakdown, because you can guess what the top 8 cards have based on those rulers. But for the whole event, you want to just do the top 10, Oscar?
Number 10's missing, or the 2 number 9s is what it is.
Yeah, the numbering.
I'll fix that before this is live.
Yeah.
But no. So number 1, should we go reverse order, or what are we doing?
I guess we'll do reverse order.
All right, so number 10 is True Blade Spirits. Not a huge surprise.
Yeah. That's especially in. I think that's even stronger in Wanderer because of the amount of strong, low cost, low attack and defense cards. That I think that becomes stronger.
I'm on the wrong list. I'm looking at top 8s. So restart that for the overall event. Sorry, number 10 was Wall of Wind.
Jeez, Oscar.
Well, when I looked at True Blade and it said 13 were run, I was like, how's that number 10 card? What is this? Yeah, no, Wall of Wind, 72 run in different decks. Which
that's understandable.
And it's understandable because, like, you don't want to run too many of those. It's, like, very situational. It's like, how many times do you actually have your opponent, like tap out all their will completely to try to run something? I've only ever always gotten off Wall of Winds barely. Like, I got one off of you. I forgot what game we were playing, Epic Stories or whatever, and I was able to stop something completely. But
it's not just that. It's also
Yeah.
stopping combos, making your opponent spend one more will, completely shuts down a very specific combo they might have been doing, or something like that.
Right.
I think it's still good. I love Wall of Wind.
Yeah.
Next.
I thought we were switching off.
Oh, okay. I guess that's weird. Next was Sorceress of Heavenly Winds Melfi. 75 will run with that. So, not surprising there. New Frontiers card. So, produces will. Next.
What else does it do? What about people who don't know yet? Number 8 was the final battle. Surprised not more of those were run. Maybe, as you see later on, there's more cancels coming up, but meh.
Yeah, final battle. New Frontiers. Next was Tama, Familiar of Holy Wind.
Yeah,
Also New
given.
Frontiers.
Number 6, True Blade of Spirits.
Also New Frontiers.
Yep.
Next was Story Listener Eva. So that I find kind of funny that there's more Evas, which only is run in a Sherry deck, and I don't think even all Sherry decks run it. But that was higher than things like Wall of Wind, Final Battle, Melfi, Tama, all that. Just Eva.
I mean, looking at these stats alone, without knowing anything else from the event, you would know off of that Sherry was #1 deck there.
Yeah.
Just because of that. Number 4 was Seal of Wind and Light, which was super cool. Old school throwback cancel that. I think people were like, oh, it's way more balanced. It's 2 different colors. And it's the number 4 ran card in this event.
Yeah, it is balanced, though. It's far more balanced because not just the 2 colors, but you say your opponent passes turn, seeing that they have 1 green and 1 yellow will up makes you be like, oh, I know what they probably are running, versus them having 1 green will up, or having, because they could be running to cancel like Wall of Wind, or they could just have 1 extra will left over, different things like that. But specifically 1 green and 1 yellow is a pretty good tell, versus that huge tell of the free cost severing winds and stuff like that. Next was Farrer's Spell. Once again, the 1 cost green. So
yeah,
that's cool.
Lorite, 182 total Lorites.
It's a lot of Loriting.
Yeah. For
a lot of people thinking that Lorite was not going to be a big card, and we're freaking out about Rachel.
Where are those people at right now? Where are they at?
Made me freaking get rid of my Lorite and keep the Rachel thinking that was going to be the value card.
That's right.
Hate it. Not that Rachel is fair and balanced at all, but just saying.
How many 182 Lorites? I'm just calculating how much that market value is. That's almost $1,000 in Lorites right there.
And first place, drumroll. Otherworld Dreams. How many Otherworld Dreams were there?
How many?
202 out of what does it mean, out of a possible? Is that the max that could physically be run?
I think so.
So physically you could run 372 and they ran 202. So over 54%. So 54%, yeah. That's just crazy. That's a crazy amount. In case you guys aren't aware, Severing Winds is banned in Wander, but Otherworlds is unbanned in Wander, where it's banned in New Frontiers, but not Wander. Why that's being run. So that's kind of crazy. Maybe it should just be straight up banned everywhere.
Maybe. So, Colin, let me ask you this.
Here, real quick, look at my fingers. That's how many Wanderer cards were in that top 10.
Yeah. So, Colin, let me ask you this. Looking at this list, if you were, let's pretend you're Jeff, and you're going to go report in, and you'd be like, we need to ban these cards, and you could pick any number of cards. Which cards do you pick? Is what I'm trying to get. What cards do you pick here? Just pretend, bro.
See, I don't play.
And quick, one more thing about this is like, pretend this has been like the steady flow of information that's been coming to you, since we need data to kind of back up all the decisions made going forward, such as a banning. Pick cards and which ones and how many and all that information. What would you pick?
From the top 10 card list that we just
From this entire list here that you're looking at.
Oh, the entire 24 list that they can't see.
15 different Wander events took place, and this is the exact stats for each of those.
Okay. See, Otherworld, I'm not sure, because a lot of people are running it, but because of the way it works inside of Wander, it might not be that bad because of the amount of counters and stuff to it. So, but at 54% usage. I know people don't like this, but maybe not a ban, but a deck limitation of maybe max of 2 in a deck.
Mm-hmm.
People hate that. I mean,
so in a scenario, I said you're Jeff, and Jeff doesn't believe in that, so you don't get that option.
I would make Jeff believe in that.
Uh-huh.
Jeff believe in that.
Don't listen to him, Jeff.
I'll come back to that.
Okay.
First off, Lorite's banned. I think Lorite should be banned across the board, personally. Mm-hmm. I think the card not only is strong, but I think it discourages enjoyment. And the game overall, especially at the local level, which, as I said, is what I care about. And at that amount of usage, 48%, 182, it's just too... It's a great card. Like, there's no reason not to run it. And it cancels God's Arts in Wanderer for 1 cost quick cast, and you get a body on the field after you do that. That's, especially in Wanderer, that defeats the fun of Wanderer, is the God's Arts and stuff like that. So, Lorite, I would ban off the bat. And the other ones aren't too bad. I think... Rune Story is hard to tell, because Rune Story, the percentage is not going to be high because it's in the story deck. So it's hard to tell what is making Sherry tick, what's making Sherry strong in that story deck. See, it sucks also because Sherry could be fixed if they hotfixed her, reprinted her, and readjusted how her text read. Made it a smaller story deck she could have, or made her way she worked a little bit different with the story deck. That being said, if Rune Story is what's making Sherry tick, we need to get rid of that to try and... Because Sherry should not be this strong in Wanderer. Shouldn't be this strong in New Frontiers, but definitely should not be strong. Wanderer is where we see diversity, and we're not seeing that. So I would say for sure Lorite, maybe Otherworld. I would put that up to a vote with the board of Force of Will people, the Dark Shadowy board. And whatever one of those cards, maybe Rune Story, that is making Sherry, pushing her over the top, especially in Wanderer, is what I would look at.
Okay.
What about you?
I would also just do Lorite, and only Lorite. That's kind of just all I see it as.
You don't see any cards that would shut down Sherry? You think?
No, I think just getting rid of that Lorite, even looking at, like, say, New Frontiers, with Lorite gone, I think that opens up a lot more options based on abilities happening. God's Arts, things like that. Especially in this new set coming forward where God's Arts are a bigger deal than they were before.
Yeah, it's such a dumb card. Because here's the thing. You have this game. It's similar to Black Moonbeam, where I had Black Moonbeam, and it's like, oh, cool. You have an unchaseable card that gets rid of the main thing that makes this game super cool and unique and fun. So you just deleted that. And Lorite's similar, so you have these cool abilities on the chases, rulers doing stuff, J-rulers doing stuff, resonators, different abilities going off, and you're like, oh cool, look at this interaction. Lorite comes like, what if this game was a lot more boring and less stuff happening?
So the question is we have Lorite, which is a 1-cost green that has a body in the field. What about your opinions on a 2-cost blue that canceled God Arts that drew you a card?
That's fine. That's 100% fine. Because I know... you get out of here. No,
I was referring to Glimpse of Kaguya, which is essentially canceled God's Arts as well. So I was trying to figure out...
Yeah, Glimpse of Kaguya was fine because, 1, it's in the correct freaking color. 2, it costs 2. So... Yeah, that's not a huge difference, but no, it is a huge difference. 1 and 2 is a huge difference. Leaving 2 will up versus 1 is a bigger tell. It's easier to see stuff going on, and it hurts harder if that card is canceled. If Lorite's canceled, oh no, you're down 1 will. That's not a big deal.
And it was
Kaguya.
It's 2 blue as well. It's not like it's a blue and a void. It was 2 straight up blues to cancel.
Yeah. And if that's canceled, and if that card's canceled, you stopped playing something your turn when you passed turn. You didn't. Most likely, you didn't have nothing to play.
Correction. I'm sorry. It was a blue and a void. I was wrong.
Okay, I was about to say. I'm pretty sure it was blue and void. You didn't sit there and not have anything to play except for Glimpse of Kaguya, so you had to pass turn. Odds are you had a card to play. You chose not to play it. Pass turn. So if they cancel Glimpse of Kaguya, you're down a turn now.
Yeah.
That's not the case with Lorite. And worst case, what are you not playing a Tama or something like that? It's you're not being set. You're not being set back if it's canceled.
Yeah.
And if it's not canceled, you've owned the board now. And having a body on the field is not the equivalent, but it's a pretty good trade-off for not drawing a card. Being able to block something. Yeah.
So, looking at this information, talking more about Lorite, looking at New Frontiers as well. After having discussion with some of the guys and gals, people on our Discord, I don't know if you saw us talking about that last night.
No.
The reason why a lot of their favorite formats are like Pauper and Epic Stories is just because of the state of the game is right now in New Frontiers. It's way more fun to go and try to brew a deck in those other formats than it is to try to brew decks in this format, because you already know there's just one dominated deck. It's like, what's the purpose of trying to work around it, right?
Even outside of the one dominated deck, for example, I'm thinking of pandas. I went to go, and I was thinking Keurig, and so I was building my Keurig deck, and I was like, well, I want to make a good Keurig deck, so I better splash some green in here. Right? And so I have that automatic response of, okay, I gotta splash green. And then I was thinking about it, I was like, well, I have to put in 7 wins. I gotta put in this card. And I was like, well, in order to counter that, I have to put in this card, and then this card. And at some point, at minimum, half the deck is not cards that I want to play. It's ones that I have to play just to survive against basically just one meta deck. Or just decks in general with all the cancels. So just a couple cards, which was not the case, has not always been the case. And so, yeah, I agree. That's why I haven't been able to brew that many decks with Epic Stories, but I have had. It's fun, like, thinking about it. I'll start brewing them here. It's not because I don't want to. It's because I haven't had time. But I'll be brewing more. But it is, more fun to think of that. Pauper is interesting. I haven't gotten as much into Pauper. Maybe if I looked at it more, I'd like it more.
I also think that we were low level into Pauper, and then when we came into Epic Stories, it just took off. Like, the creativity you can do in that format compared to even Pauper, it's just like, that's what pulled me in. I was like, man, like approaching decks before was like, what cards I want to play. Now it's like, what 2 rulers work well together, and then what's the required cards to go into there with not just color identity, but what went with those rulers to go with, and you build structured off of that, which is a lot of fun.
And trying to make it work with consistency, where you only run one of each card in a 60 card deck, and trying to figure that out, so you can't be reliant on combos and stuff.
Right, and I had a conversation with some of our locals about the format, and they're like, no, you can break the format easily. You can run this, this, and this. I'm like, you can, but you don't get it. It's like, if you play with 4 or 5 people on a table, and they know you're trying to do that, you become the target all of a sudden. You're not getting off all the things you want to get off the way you thought you would. So you're no longer breaking that format. And it's like this same thing is I can run a silly deck, like super fun Xion flute deck. It's like, I'm just drawing cards, haha, this is fun, bouncing everything and whatnot. It's like, it doesn't really matter. It's a super fun format.
Yeah, and essentially, and that's unfortunate because New Frontiers could be fun. Yeah, and like I always say, I always think of the Lapis cluster when we had the large diversity of rulers, and there was like no 2 GP top 8s that were the same. It was always a different top 8, and almost always a different winner that was in the top, who took it at first place and stuff like that. That was a different type of ruler, whether it was Charlotte, maybe it was Fox, maybe it was now I'm forgetting even what rulers were ran back then, but it was really cool. And so you had this idea of, oh, if I want to run one of the top 8 decks and I just want a net deck, I have like a crap ton of decks to choose from. If I don't want to run one of those, just by nature of what the top 8s look like, I have very high odds of making my own personal. It's Oscar's dog snoring. Yeah,
I kicked her out before this podcast started because she's been snoring a lot louder than usual lately with a lot, and it looks like somebody let her in midway into this podcast.
But you had that. There's that sort of idea of like, oh, I could make a cool, unique deck, and it has really high chances. I feel like of making it into top 8 because look at all these weird, crazy decks making it into top 8s. And then basically Persia came up, and we've never been able to bounce back to that since then. Because Persia came out, they didn't print support for Fox, so Fox dominated on top of Persia. So even if they banned Persia, Fox was still going to be a thing. And then it just spiraled out of control from there. So it sucks because New Frontiers had a similar thing where it had that heyday of like, oh, I could do whatever I want and potentially be good, and even
Mm-hmm.
if I don't, it's something fun that I won't 100% lose all the games to, but still win some and enough to have
Mm-hmm.
fun and all that. But
And I'll throw this visual up on the screen. I had mentioned it on a spoiler video me and Joy did, but it didn't really fit well with spoilers. So I took it right out for the video itself. But on our website, when we do like the seasonal, like what's the top 8 list for each of the larger events, either ARG, GPs, or these Masters events, I put on the thumbnail for the button to get into the category or the list itself is who won the event. And like I've been telling Colin, like you look at it, it was like fairs. Maybe there's a technically, what's his name? Mikage, more fairs, sealed event. So you saw the white sealed ruler,
Yeah.
and then when Sherry came out, it's just like a whole wall of Sherry. It's like insane just looking at visually when you look at it. It's like it's sad to look at. Yeah.
If you guys want to look at TcgScrubs.com and click on top 8 list, and it's season 4, and it goes oldest to newest, so you see this sort of transition of, and then you could see the minute Sherry was released.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just that block, and it's like, well, I know what I have to run if I'm going to a GP, which, yeah.
And as if I can gather the information, I'm willing to do each of the seasons 1, 2, 3, and now we're on 4, so that you can go through each of those seasons and visually see those differences as well. 'Cause I know there was a reflector frame issue for a little bit as well. We were there for that, but probably not as bad as this, I would say.
And it sucked because I was looking forward to Providence because that's the first Wanderer GP.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm looking forward to actually see. I'm gonna watch the stream and follow GM07 stream. Follow find out which. Well, yeah, I still will, but like the idea of like following it and like find a ruler, like, oh, that person's running Sylvia. No, that person's running this ruler or that ruler. I'm gonna follow them. Oh, they lost. Well, at least there's this ruler and all this cool stuff going on. But after this, I'm afraid it's just gonna be like, oh, it's just New Frontiers with a couple different cards inside of the main deck of Sherry.
Yeah.
Woo, throw up some confetti.
Yeah. So I really want to see.
How depressing would that be in our
events.
block of top 8 if it's all those Sherrys and then the Wanderer GP and it's still a Sherry image? That's that deeply depressing.
I mean, it's already depressing when I set the button up right now and it was a Wander Germany Masters event and it's still a Sherry there. Yeah. But
maybe Germany sucks.
I don't think you guys suck in Germany. We have some great supporters there, like Grief. But I just want to see this event. Like, I hope this doesn't discourage the numbers. I hope it's still like a large event and tons of people show up. And I hope that we see like crazy ruler diversity, just like all these cool old school rulers coming up. I want to see somebody running Dark Alice. I don't care if she can not hold her own anymore, but just all this cool stuff just to show up at least and to lighten up that mood. I mean, I'm still going to watch the event. Like Colin said, Jeremy will be hosting on his channel. We can link it somewhere in the description below just so you make sure you guys check it out. It's going to be this coming weekend, May 12th. My birthday's November 12th, so I remembered that. May 12th, Saturday.
Come up.
Huh?
Why would you think of your birthday, though?
Because the 12th. I just thought the 12th. So I was like, oh, November 12th. No, May 12th. May 12th and 13th. So
Does that happen every month for you? Like, oh, my birthday. Oh.
No. I'm on the spot right now, right? Yeah. Guys, making fun of me. Now you can comment in the comments. Be like, leave Oscar alone, Colin. Uh-huh. Who knows that reference? But anyways, so make sure to check it out when it comes out. I'm sure you'll find more updates as we get along throughout the week. As to when it's happening.
Yeah. And always, as always, if you guys want the GP info, like the deck list, card breakdown, and all that as it comes out, TcgScrubs.com, we try and add it as quick as we can onto there for you guys to follow through the weekend.
Some weekends are busy, so we barely got to it Sunday night for this Wanderer event.
Yeah, like moving houses. So we'll move into the top 8 now. I don't know if these are in order, what Oscar sent me or not.
They're not. I don't know what order they go into, so they're just random order.
So we'll start with the first image here. So first up, we got Keurig.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool. So the main deck is a very Keurig-y... No, it's not a very Keurig deck. I'm dumb. It doesn't run much Keurig stuff. It runs Play Dead, it runs God Pig, and it runs Floopy Floop that I forget the name of. But this one runs a decent amount of Wanderer cards, which is cool. So it runs a playset of Persia Exploding Flame, the really cool Persia that everyone ran. They made a point to have the promo image for her here. It ran...
It's the only one she run.
Here's the thing, guys. So you might have heard this argument. I don't know if it was on our podcast or on our Patreon podcast, but I specifically said that I think people back in the day did not fully understand the significance of doing damage to your opponent, especially high damage, based on what your opponent might be running. Because they were bringing up how no main top 8 decks and stuff back during the old days ran Split Heaven and Earth. And they asked if Split Heaven was legal or was playing right now, if people would run it. And I said 100% yes. I think people understand it now. So here we have a Wander GP. And Split Heaven, this guy ran 3 of them. And he's in the top 8. And he has 1 in the side deck, just in case he needs that extra one. And so that goes to support my theory that Split Heaven is really strong. And I think people just weren't running it because they didn't understand the potential of, like, Lightning Strike is 1 cost, deal 500 damage to your opponent. If someone came up to you and said, hey, for 1 cost more, you could do an absolute minimum of turn 2 600 damage. Most likely, like, turn 4, if they're running all special magic stones, turn 4 you're doing 1200 damage, turn 6 you're doing 1800 damage for 2 will. Like, it's crazy. So I'm glad that people realize that. Any thoughts, Oscar? You want to apologize to me?
No, the only thing I'll give you credit for is I'm proud that the only thing that he ran green for truly for cancels was the 4 fair spells, and then that is dedicated to resonators.
Whoa, and yeah, Prussia. So yeah.
Right, resonators, like I said.
Okay, yeah. He ran Cthulhu.
Cthulhu. You got it, Colin.
What's that one card right there?
The first lie?
The first lie. Okay. And if you guys are wondering what we're talking about, also I should have said this before. As always, you can follow what we're talking about. Just go onto TcgScrubs.com, click on the top 8, and click on this GP we're talking about, the German GP. And we're just reading the deck lists that are on our website there, so you can follow along with us there.
Now, back to the list. Like the 2 cards we just mentioned were great. One of the cards, Cthulhu, was great back when it was relevant, still on around, and it's great in his deck. What made this card so great is Rook Egg, which is still it's in this list, right? I didn't actually double check.
Yeah.
Okay. So Rook Egg being in here is a target that when it hits the graveyard, he searches for a red resonator. Meanwhile, Cthulhu says you can incarnate, meaning you'd banish a resonator that's red and put it into play instead of paying its cost of 3, which is 1 red and 2 void. So you got like great value. You replace the egg by banishing it with this 5/5 with swiftness, and you search for another red resonator off of the Rook Egg. So that alone, like, I used to love it. Like, you can play Cthulhu, egg goes to graveyard, search on a Cthulhu, swing for 5, banish that Cthulhu, have another one, and swing for 5.
Yeah. No, that's I think that's a great combo. And I'm surprised it doesn't run like Hoel Chicken or something like that instead of Hoel Pig. I mean, Hoel Pig, obviously, I know why you run that, but instead of a playset, maybe cutting it back so that you have Hoel Chicken to combo with the Flame in case you don't have Rook Egg out. That way, you're still getting value off of that, eating up that cost, because Chicken, when it goes to the graveyard, you gain like 5 strength counters or something like that. And so you still get value out of it, since he's running 4 of those Exploding Flames and only 3 eggs. Although, obviously, you combo-wise, you could just incarnate off of the Flame itself and all that. But yeah. I feel like running Chicken could be good inside of that.
So Colin, why the first lie?
Well, you see, before there was the first lie, there was no lie. So the first lie happened after, I think it's referring to after Eve ate the fruit and the first lie happened.
Colin doesn't know what the card does. It's a 2-cost, 1 red, 1 void, chain instant. Each player chooses a number secretly. Then those numbers are revealed. Each player with the highest number draws 3 cards and loses 100 life multiplied by the number he or she chose.
Yeah. They want to do that to waste paper because you have to write down your number on the paper, and it's super annoying. It's good. See, why do you think they run that?
I actually don't. That's why I was asking you. I was like, why would you run that card? Like, I feel like you could have.
A lot of people run it too because it was in the top list. It was in like one of the most played cards.
Something we don't know then. We are TcgScrubs. Yeah, the next character list has 2 of them as well.
And specifically in here, if you want to draw cards, why not run Food Supply so you get strength counters off of it? Why lose life to draw cards when for one less with Quick Cast you can... I don't know. It's interesting.
Looking at it, I think these two character lists are identical lists. There's probably just two people who knew each other that want to run the same cards. Because they're card for card identical.
No, they're not. This guy runs one more Root Gig.
Yeah.
And one
they're very close though. Like the fact that they both run two lies, two of the
I think that's the only difference is that they just swapped that one card of each of those.
Yeah.
Oh, and this guy ran Heavenly Gust, and his sideboard was the other day.
Also, a cool card for those of you who still also weren't around for it was that little Red the Pure Stone.
Oh yeah. They both ran one of that inside their stone deck. That's a great card. I missed that one.
It is. I wish we would got something to it the same effect, if not an actual reprint. I really would love to see them just to do some just actual reprints of something. It doesn't even have to be something like super good. Just like, you know, I don't know. I can't even give an example right now. Just because like in Pokemon, that was great. It's like, yeah, Ultra Balls are being printed every set. You know, what else was there? Switches and different trainer cards, and you can sit there and pick like, ooh, do I want to run this old one from the original first set, or do I want to run this, you know, like, yeah, next Destiny's version 1 and all those different things.
Would you prefer that, or would you prefer like kind of what they currently have done, which is, for example, they had Tama before and they reprinted Tama, changed up it so it's slightly different. Same with Thunder, became Lightning Strike, slightly different effects.
Some cards need that was it functional update,
Sacred
right?
Elf,
That's what you would call it. Some cards can still be reprinted. Like I feel like this card can still just be reprinted. You know, tap, produce one will of the chosen attribute.
You don't like the new True Magic Stone?
A lot of hype behind that. That was really disappointing.
Yeah.
But this one, for those who didn't know, it says as this card comes into play into your Magic Stone area, choose an attribute. You generally chose something that the resonators are playing. This guy probably chose red. Tap, produce one will of the chosen attribute, or you can activate it by tapping it and say target resonator that shares an attribute with a chosen attribute gains +2/+2 until end of turn. So it's like you swung with Sylvia, +2 it because you didn't block it or something like that.
Yeah, so it had versatility, and it was decent versatility because also it was +2/+2, so it could also add to defense to make things survive, and it also being able to choose any attribute was really good because, especially early game, if that was your first stone, you make it match whatever card you're about to play turn 1 in case you're not running in mono colors in your deck. It was just great. Next we had an Aimu deck in our top 8, Oscar.
What was I gonna
Oscar.
Say? No, I had. What was our response to you earlier? You're not gonna tell me what my response was to you.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably how great it is.
Nah. Oh yeah. That's right. The famous words of everybody in the U.S. group. Oh, nobody pays attention to European or any other countries' events. They're not competitive as U.S. players are. That's my response to you was.
That being said, I hate it. It has nothing to do with Aimu. Yeah, it's just.
Well, that's what everybody told you. Everybody who's ever told you Aimu's good, take all the inverse out.
Two things. One, that makes it so she's not Aimu. It's just a regular deck, and you switch the ruler out. And in my opinion, 0 is better for this type of deck because you also then get the access to 0's Magic Light for 1 cost, and you get better flip effect. In my opinion, you don't have to because she's not going to be buffed, and you get the cycle, but you don't get any of the you don't get anything off her. I don't get it.
Oh, I didn't realize 0 had drain. Okay.
The only good thing about her. The only good thing about her drain is terrible. The only good thing about her is her ruler side of being able to cover 1 resonator on your opponent's turn for 0 cost, once per turn. That's the only decent thing about her outside of her flippy deck. So that gives her advantage over 0. In my opinion, I don't know. I'd like to challenge someone to do a mirror match of the exact same deck, except one person runs Aimu and the other person runs 0, and see which deck is better. Because I think 0 is better.
So you're saying our next gameplay needs to be that?
Maybe.
Don't you have Aimu now?
This deck is interesting. Because
quick, I want to say it's interesting that you can recover that resonator in that way with them running those like Sacred Elves and Elvish Priest, because you can just recover those and be like, cool, I got a green for an answer if it's Fair Spell or whatever green card they're running.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. Or you could tap it, recover it, tap it to play Melfi. So you have Melfi
I didn't think about that.
Turn 2 or 1 or whatever.
And they have Melfi, so that's probably what they're doing. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, they run Melfi's, Elvish Priests, 1 Sacred Elf. I don't know why. I feel like Sacred Elves is better, but whatever. They run the 5-cost card from the Guild starter deck, which I'm super confused if that's good or not. I don't think it's good, but I guess if you're producing a crap ton of will, it's good, actually. Yeah, running Blazer from the Guild deck, playset of Lorites, because those are fair and balanced. They're running Phaley that copies a Resonator. So why do you think they're running that, Oscar?
I don't know. What would a good target be? I mean, what, Rachel? There's Rachels in there.
There's only 2 Rachels in there, so it's not the point of the deck. Maybe the 5-cost green, so that it enters and you get his effects again or something?
I mean, we're picking these other ones just based on, like, utility reasons, yeah. But, I mean, maybe it's really just a Blazer is the only real reason they're doing it.
I guess make them discard cards,
yeah.
And then he gets to stay
just
in
great
the food because he can cancel stuff that targets him. But, yeah, it's a pretty interesting deck.
Is Phaley only on your turn, or is that another thing that they can recover and activate again?
Oh, yeah, it's whenever you want, I'm pretty sure.
I'm looking up, just double check. Yeah.
Yeah, it's whenever you want. That's a good point. So you could just... But, yeah, so you could just play the 5-cost guy, quick cast, and then replicate him, and then recover her, and then replicate him again to get... I don't even remember his effects. Him or Blazer. You know, whatever. Good effects. Stuff happens.
I remember some of them. I remember he had one to either draw a card or recover a Resonator. Cancel something. I remember he had a cancel on him.
Yeah, there's definitely a cancel in there. But you only need to do that once. Unless, I guess they could play something, and in response to the... While the spell is on the chase, you could tap her to replicate him to cancel it again.
Yeah, so when his card enters the field, choose up to 2. Cancel target chant spell, or return target Resonator to its owner's hand, or rest or recover target Resonator, or draw a card.
Oh. So you make a copy of him, and you could recover Phaley. You get one of his other effects, like draw a card or bounce into something, and you tap Phaley again to make another copy of him, and use his effect to recover Phaley, and do one of his other effects, and so on and so forth.
But what's the point of having so many of his field that they banish it in a turn?
Because you're drawing cards, or you're clearing their field by bouncing stuff, or you're canceling stuff as they're playing it. Different things like that.
Okay.
And what you could do, because there's technically that super dumb and thing that I don't understand, where it's your opponent's end turn, but the end turns don't trigger and it goes into your turn, so you could populate your entire field infinitely with that guy. And go into your turn and just win by infinite population.
Yeah.
I assume that's how it works. Now I gotta.
He's a 10-12 now, so.
I gotta make this deck and test it now and see if that's.
So wait. The guy who says 0 is infinitely better than this IMO in this situation is gonna build an IMO deck to play in that situation. That means I have to.
Not in this situation. I said in most situations.
See, guys, he went on the list and was like. Yeah, it's getting better. Oh, it's getting even better. You know what? All right, guys. All right, I guess I gotta build it.
Well, because you don't need IMO for that combo, though. Mm-hmm. You tap Phaley, and it still copies him. It has nothing to do with IMO. So
like an old
yeah, I'm gonna make this with 0. No, fuck you. I'm making this with 0.
Still all right, I'll just make you with IMO, and we'll play them against each other.
So next
Fire
deck.
Rat is pretty cool. I just saw throwing that out there.
Oh yeah, it's so cool.
It's an old school card. People used to run it all the time because of the lance.
So next we're
this one is the one I was saying. This is pretty cool. Okay,
tell us why
they have the angels. The angels comes into play. 5-cost angel searches out another angel. That's was it 4-cost or less or 3-cost or less? Which is Lucifer. Lucifer comes into play, forces your opponent to banish a Resonator. That's what's cool. And then they have the, what's it called? Juliet, Dreams of Juliet, which flickers a Resonator on your turn. So you can flicker an angel just to either pull out, I think, Arla, which is the other angel they're running, or just to have her flicker anyways. Maybe you fail to search a target. But I don't know. I thought it was pretty...
But you can also flicker the demon to banish more stuff.
I was just impressed with that alone, that section right there. It's just old school stuff.
And this guy's main deck in Rune Story, which is a little bit different than we normally see. I don't. I mean, I get it. I still don't fully get why Evil D Genie is so good, but Evil Genie, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Gretel is great. His whole stone deck is wind. So all
a lot
those
of people
stones
running
come out.
Gretel. Yeah. Final battle. Yeah, you know.
It's just huge. I was just impressed with the whole angel setup in there. That was cool.
Yeah. Another Sherry. This Sherry still got
classic
final
Sherry.
battles. Yeah.
It's essentially a classic Sherry. They threw in some Gretels, and you have Ryula. So.
Is Gretel the only Wanderer card in there? Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. Another Sherry. This one.
Seal Wind and Light.
Yeah, Sylvan Light is the only Wanderer, I think. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's an additional thing to it. Because, like, I think what made... Well, people... I think the only difference on the blue Sherry that was taken over the London GP was the fact that they were able to throw in... Because of blue, the... what's it called? Is it called Millennium Bond? The one that the green, blue, green cancel? And now they're able to do white instead, have a Ryula, and be like, you know what? Green, white cancel with Sylvan and Light. So that's pretty neat.
Next guy didn't run a Ryula, but ran that Angel combo you love so much.
Nice. And
pretty much
he
identical.
used the promos.
He went out of his way to make sure.
He didn't run as many, or did he? Yeah, no, I don't think he did. Did the other one not run 4?
This next one, I don't know if they're doing exact cards that they had or what, but it has one regular Artemis and one full art or promo Artemis. I can't tell which one it is, but for whatever reason, they had to make sure they had one of each of those. But cool. This one's a little bit different. It ran the Artemis, it ran Bear Magic, it runs Zeke's Magic.
Space Time Anomaly.
Does it?
It's a promo in the top right corner of Space Time Anomalies.
Yeah, make sure you got that promo.
As a black-blue spell chain instant, and it said target red zero gains -5/-5.
See, this one's interesting because it doesn't run yellow for Seal, Wind, and Light, and it doesn't run Millennium Bond, even though it's running blue.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. They were very minimalist as far as cancels. They just had the Rune Stories in their main deck. Play set of Fair Spell, play set of Otherworld. Man, and 3 Lords. So as minimalist as you can get with a green deck.
Yeah.
They only ran
Millennium
like
Bond was in the sideboard.
Oh. And I almost was rooting for you, man. Almost was.
And I definitely want to see this deck in action. And I know that in Germany they have some sort of law preventing them from streaming in a certain method. Like they have to have like rules they follow. So to get around it, they can record all the matches and upload to their YouTube, which they're doing immediately. So I'll try to link that as well below, the YouTube channel that has all the videos, so you guys can go check those out as well. Because I'm gonna probably check those out here soon.
Yeah. So, what are your overall thoughts of that top 8 list?
I mean, the overall thoughts on that top 8 list was I really wish we would have seen just some cool old school ruler come through. Reflective Frame is unbanned, by the way, in Wanderer, if people are forgetting that. We didn't see any Reflective Frame in here.
I don't think it was a single person ran it at the event, did they?
No, there's no in the ruler breakdown mention of it. Yeah. So that's impressive. Is maybe either people forgot or he's just not as great as people remember him. Even I remember real quick I remember he was in Wanderer, he was banded Wanderer, he was unbanded Wanderer. I remember people being like, "Oh, you made a mistake, broken. Gonna go take over Wanderer with Reflective Frame," and think, "Well, look at this." I know we have the dumb excuse of here's Sherry, but still.
No, you're forgetting they banned Change the World.
Oh,
that's why you're not seeing it. However, I think people overreact. I think there was this gut reaction of, Change the World's gone, Reflective Frame's dead, which I disagree with. I still think Reflective Frame is strong. I think people just had that gut reaction reacting to it, which, yeah, it's definitely not nearly as strong without that. However, you still get the counters by drawing cards. You still get the counters by buffing your Resonator. You still get those counters that you need.
Yeah.
Throughout the game. You don't have to do an early judgment. You can just go straight utility and then judgment and cancel stuff and do all that good things.
Yeah, I mean, I guess people just would prefer to have that guaranteed 5-card side thing rather than let me draw into cards I might need. Also, you know what I was thinking about?
Better, yeah.
Given Black Moonbeam is in here, how many Black Moonbeams did you see?
I didn't see. I don't think there's any in
They're in there. They're only in the Sherry decks. They're all sideboarded, which is hilarious.
Well, no, I'm looking in the top 24 at the event. I don't see any top 20 in the top 24, and I don't see any.
On top of that, Winds to Clear the Refuge is nowhere to be seen either.
Yeah, no one ran Black Moonbeam.
And when Secluded Refuge is even Wanderer, it's technically New Frontiers because it's in Vingolf, but
yeah,
still.
Yeah,
So with, I mean, does that mean this is like?
I think it's because people.
Is this the set? Is this what everybody's gonna go by? Or you think people who have been testing elsewhere who are getting ready for Providence, like, heck no, I have like 2 Black Moonbeams in my deck, and
I think we're gonna
I have
see
like
Black
3
Moonbeam.
Secluded Refuges.
I think we'll see Black Moonbeam at Providence. I think maybe the reason we didn't really see it that much is because people were expecting Sherry, and Black Moonbeam's just dead weight against Sherry. Sherry, yes, she Jai activates, but killing her doesn't get you anything, and if anything, it hurts you to kill Sherry, depending on the type of Sherry deck it is. So, there's no reason to run it, and it's just going to be a dead card in your hand. So at best, you might sideboard it.
Yeah.
So I can see that, but
so looking at Providence, what do you want to see make top 8? Just like not like how many of each number, it's just like who would you like to see make top 8?
I want to see Sylvia make top 8 first off, but I think of stuff that could make top 8 that would be cool to see. Oh, boy, I'm trying to think here now.
What do you think? For personal enjoyment, I want to see a Dark Alice go up there. Just for personal enjoyment, I want to be like, yeah, they did it. For just troll laughs and all that, I want to see one like a Bahamut, a Reflector Frame, any number. Just make it and be like, haha, guys, remember that? That's where I'm going. I'm just going silly with it. I know it's probably gonna be Sherry's. I hope it's not a dominating Sherry number. Like you see 2 or 3 Sherrys make it up there, but like there's other things that got chances to make it in.
Yeah, Sylvia would be cool. I think Sylvia could be viable because Split Heaven turns out to be a big card. Being able to run green and run all basic Magic Stones and have a red-green deck would be extremely useful. But that would be cool. Or I think seeing a fairy deck would be kind of cool.
Yeah. As
well. I know there's probably more that I would like to see, but I just can't think on top of my head of anything. But
right.
Yeah. So yeah, let us know what you guys would like to see at a Wanderer event that isn't Sherry.
Yeah.
Is there anything you guys are hoping to see at Providence? Are you disappointed by this Wanderer results, or are you kind of what you expected, or if you're indifferent? If you think this will affect New Frontiers at all as far as bans and stuff?
I'm also curious on what y'all's guys' thoughts on attendance numbers will be for this event. Like, my expectations are up here. After seeing this event take place, it kind of came down just a little bit, but I'm really hoping it, like, ends up being, like I said, like it proves me wrong. So I'm
hoping the Wanderer GP is at least 80 plus people. That is my hope. Mm-hmm. If it's less than that, then unfortunately I think the company is going to show that as proof that people don't want to do Wanderer. Even though there's been New Frontiers GPs with less than that, I think 80 is probably going to be the threshold they look at. So the 80 is the number I'm hoping that we get to, at least.
Yeah, I don't want to give it a number. I just want to say I'm expecting quite a bit.
Yeah.
Let's see a large event happen again, over 100 people.
That'd be super cool. If we got over 100,
mm-hmm.
that'd be top.
We wanted to make it, but just couldn't do it. No, not in time.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're almost able to. My move kind of screwed it up, just the timing of it.
Mm-hmm.
But
to go, Colin.
Hopefully it's a net positive, as you guys will see soon. So, what's good? So, any last thoughts, Oscar?
No, I mean, yes. I was going to do my classic, like, no, but I do want to say this. I was like, no.
You guys can fast forward to the end of every podcast, and it's the same thing.
I was gonna say, so with GPs on the, being talked about, are we making Collinsville?
Possibly. It all depends on how the next month goes for me in my new house. Essentially, I'll be finding out what stuff does and doesn't break, and what stuff we might have to do. But in a month, I'm hoping not to decide in a month, but I'll decide sooner than that. But once I map out this next month, essentially. So, Collinsville is a maybe. So we'll see. Fingers are crossed.
What about Oscarsville?
So that was the podcast, and we'll be doing our mini podcast for our patrons. So look forward to that if you guys are a patron. If not, click the link below for our Patreon, and you can support us there. It all go straight back into the channel, as you can see in the background here, and various other things.
More
It's
colored
pretty
energized
awesome.
tokens coming up soon. Be cool.
Yes. Which are coming soon. And yeah, we'll see you
Super soon.
guys next week.
Bye.